What's your name and where are you from? I'm sorry.
Yeah, sure. It's Blake Cousins with channel Thirdphaseofmoon.
Oh
You
my
may have heard
God.
of us.
What's up? Yeah, I recognized your voice right away. What's going on, man?
Absolutely. You're talking about Quake Watch, so it kind of got my attention, and I saw that you're live. Good to be with you. On February 7th, here on the Big Island, there was some kind of military exercise, and we posted it up on our YouTube channel, Third Phase Moon. And what was going on the Big Island? There's a military base called Puhakaloa, and they were blasting the mountain approximately hundreds of times. I don't know exactly the exact amount, but you could feel this white vibration through the whole island, and the windows were shaking, and people could feel the rumbling. And
friends from around the world are keeping an eye on the skies, and they have.
So wait. At one point, when did this happen, Blake?
An earthquake hit.
I'm sorry, Blake. I was trying to find your website to show your channel. When did this happen, Blake?
This was February 7th, 2019, and the name of the video is called "This Just Happened in Hawaii: Military Bombing Creates Earthquake." And that's basically what happened. What was kind of incredible was that after the bombing that was going on, military exercise, in my opinion, it triggered an earthquake that is basically unprecedented. I've never heard of a military exercise actually created an earthquake, but the coincidence was too unprecedented, in my opinion, that there was some kind of correlation between the two. And have you ever heard of anything like that before, Marfoogle?
Well, I have. I mean, we've covered it on the show, but not usually our military. It's usually others. I mean, well, NK and Germany had a situation where an entire neighborhood shook and then windows broke, and it turned out to be an underground bomb experimentation that somebody did on accident. There was something that was done in India. There was an entire village that was basically turned to rubble because of an experiment that they didn't know what was going on. So, I mean, no, but as far in Hawaii, my sister lived on Maui for years up until just recently, and no. So, by the way, back then, I was covering the false missile alert. Were you there on the island, or are you even on that island?
Absolutely. Yeah, we were there when the alert went out, and we were told to take cover that there was a ballistic missile heading our way in Hawaii, and it created a panic. Right away, my nephew, my brother's boy, he kind of woke us up, and he said, "I got a text alert, a missile's coming our way." And we're like, okay, well, let's get up and see what's really going on. And we were looking at the news, and the news wasn't reporting it, and we live right next to a siren. So if there was some kind of military threat or a tsunami, we would have thought we would have heard the siren. So basically, we kind of disregarded the alert, thinking it was some kind of false event. But we did call into 911, and we got a interesting response from them when we were asking them about it. They called it a dirty effect. I'm trying to figure out the exact verbiage, but it was called a dirty event, which was interesting, and they said not to worry about it. It wasn't an actual event that was going on. But what's interesting to me is that how they basically, after this event and everybody here in Hawaii was panicked, that they pretty much went after this one person and he lost his job. But I got a feeling there was something else more to it. We heard from people that were out at sea, fishermen that were fishing out there for basically ono, fish out here, ahi and ono, that they were seeing some things in the sky that kind of collaborated, that there was some kind of intercept, that there was a missile launch and there was a rocket that was intercepting something, and there were some flashes of light out there. And we heard this from multiple sources.
So,
Did you hear anything about
Blake? So Blake, I'm so excited that I get to talk to you. Which, by the way, you're a ginormous YouTuber, and I've watched you forever. Big fan of, and I've so I don't know if you realize this, but one of the first things when my channel started blowing up was I got lucky. I got information from my sister who was living there that her friend was working on a tour boat. There was a tour boat of more employees than tourists. It was like something like 13 employees and 7 tourists. They were out, and I don't have, this was like 9 months ago. They were out on one of the sides, and I actually had it down to which side of the island, everything, at 8 in the morning, and then they saw this huge flash, and what they thought it was a meteor. They talked to Khon 2, which you're probably familiar to, Khon 2. Khon 2 put a 2-second segment on, and all of these people saw this. If you go back to my video, you see several people from Island saying, I saw that. They started telling the story, and then it went to commercial. Well, the guy was saying, we saw something out there. That gentleman told my sister, that my sister told me. I put it on YouTube, and then Secure Team 10, your arch nemesis / best friend, whoever, he ended up using that clip, and that's actually how I got my start on YouTube. So I absolutely believe that that was not a false alert. And if you look at the investigation, they said he pushed the wrong button, when later they found out that it was not only not a button, it was a scroll down that you had to click, then press OK, then press yes. And then they found out that he did think it was real. They promoted him. They actually didn't fire him, and then they fired him. It was a huge, big thing. So you living there, you probably know more than me about it, but that specifically, that I know for a fact. In fact, Dr. Michael Sala wrote an article about that video because so many people from the island backed me up in that statement. So,
yeah, absolutely. And we're going to be meeting up with Michael Sala here in April, and we're going to be covering his event. He's going to have some big boys coming down. They're going to do some kind of symposium. But yeah, absolutely. From our sources here in the Big Island, we pretty much take our local friends' word for it. They have no agenda. Pretty much they're just telling the honest impression of what really went down. And obviously, I think that there was some kind of cover-up in regards to the actual event. I'm not going to speculate exactly what it was, but I'm going to base my opinion on what my friends are saying here on the island, that they saw something in the sky during that exact same time, too. So the coincidence, in my opinion, obviously lays out some kind of formula that there was something that went down, and they're not exactly telling us everything, that's for sure. We've been dealing with a lot of earthquakes here on the Big Island recently as well, just due to the fact, too, with all the volcanic activity. But thank God nowadays it's finally slowed down, and we haven't really had any earthquakes except when the recent bombing exercises up on the Mauna Kea mountain, and then it triggered something. So that's why I'm calling in. You're talking about quakes, Marfoogle, so I figured I'd chime in and give you a report here.
Well, do you know what the biggest one was, though, Blake? I mean, they're probably I guess what was the biggest one you guys had so far? Do you know?
Well, that's a good question. Yeah, the biggest one within the past couple years, since there was an earthquake we had that was about a 6.7, if I'm not mistaken, and that was violent, and that happened about 8 or 9 months ago, right before the volcano triggered, and the trigger effect is basically everybody realized right after this earthquake happened, they could feel that there was activity up on the summit of the volcano crater itself. And then the big one happened, and then everybody realized it seemed like there was a lava shift. And then within hours of that earthquake, that's when Leilani erupted with volcanic activity, and then it was basically the biggest eruption in the past 200 years. But again, now that the lava's basically did its flow and everything's dried up, we really haven't had anything since in any dramatic way, except our recent one, when it basically triggered. I I'm not exactly sure. Was it a 5 point something? 4.8, 5.2. Maybe it was upgraded a little bit, but the coincidences were kind of baffling and kind of disconcerting at the same time.
Well, so there's another
the
question.
2006 earthquake, we experienced that one as well, and that was a super violent one. It felt like the ground was about to become liquid because there was a moment where the earth started to shake, and you're like, okay, this is one of these earthquakes that we kind of go through, but then it excelled into a point that basically went into a super hyperdrive of the earthquake. And then it seemed like the ground was going to liquefy. It lasted for over a minute.
Well, the liquefaction that happened in Japan, people said the same thing on the earthquake that happened before that. They said that the ground felt like it was going to liquefy, and then that did happen in the 9.0 that they had later on, which they didn't even know that was possible there. So,
absolutely, and even with the Japan earthquake, we had ramifications from that here in Hawaii, and we were hit by a tsunami that actually hit a hotel and put that out of business. And it took them about 10 years to finally rebound and reopen. So being out in the middle of the Pacific, we're a little vulnerable. But some of my main concerns is obviously land shelf movement off the Big Island and other islands where there could be a collapse and a big displacement of water where the land just basically drops into the Pacific Ocean, plunges into it in a matter of minutes, and basically displaces water. And then California could be very vulnerable throughout, and a lot of other places, the whole Pacific region. But the Big Island could be basically one of these possible doomsday scenarios where there could be a land shift drop off into the Pacific. People call it the Helena Slump.
Yeah, there's actually, I think there's a B-grade movie about the potential of that. And I sat through the whole thing. It was really bad, CGI and everything. I wanted to ask you one more question before you go. It's kind of an honor to talk to you because I've watched you way before I did YouTube, and now I have 2 channels that are, we're tiny in comparison. So, but you watch the sky a lot.
You're blowing up, and you're doing good work. And to traverse through the YouTube field, talking about the subject matter, you keep it up, man.
Well, can I ask you one question? Since you're a sky watcher, have you noticed what's going on in the sky? Like not besides UFOs and things, since you spend most of your time looking up, have you noticed that it's almost like an aurora borealis, like something's hitting us? I mean, I'm sure that could just be explained by a solar flare, but I feel like it's pulsating the dark night skies. Or am I crazy?
Well, I'll have to wait till I get really video evidence of anything like that. I know the UFO activity seems like it's slowed down a little bit. I'm not exactly sure why. Maybe just because we're better at analyzing what we're looking at over the years. But there is, we do follow a strange weather phenomenon. What I'm looking at when it was at its peak was probably in 2000, I would say 15, and between 2015 and 17, there was a lot of weather activity that just kind of blew me away. And some of the videos that we were receiving, these strange streaks of light and clouds. Some people call them the crown flash, but I gotta say, there's something else to it. As far as new weather phenomenon, I haven't got any reports of anything new, but if I come up with anything, I'll be sure to let you know.
Well, so I guess this is a weird question. Everybody asked me how to get a hold of me, but how could I send you? I have a time lapse of what I'm talking about. Is there a general email I should send it to?
Yeah, absolutely. If you go to any of my videos on my YouTube channel, my email is in the description, so you can hit me up.
All right.
cousinsbrothersproductions@gmail.com. Yeah, hit us up. We would definitely love to see your video. Maybe we could do some kind of collaboration and discuss some of the evidence you got, Marfoogle.
All right. Well, thank you. It was an honor to have you on. Thank you, Blake. And I'm just happy to have you. So thank you so much. Stay safe. Be prepared. And Marf out.
Appreciate it, man. Be safe. We'll talk to you soon.
All right. join the Foogle Fam community. So I shouldn't have to tell you why you should need to prepare. People say, what reason do you have to prepare? There are a million different things that can come at you at any time. And I will stress, we have a huge group of military telling us we are at the precipice of something bigger than anyone can ever imagine. So we have provided a safe space for you to go and meet your neighbors, meet people that will protect you if something happens or come save you. That's really what the point of this is. Groups as big as 50 are meeting, having barbecues, eating burgers and drinking beers and talking prep in real life scenarios. They're even planning on, hey, I'll come get you in this, I'll come get you in that. Elderly are getting plans being made for them by people that are volunteering to basically look out for that person. There was some elderly people that did not have family, didn't have anybody to watch over them. So we've taken care of those people. And if you are like that as well, let us know. 1, find your local state group or groups, and you can enter those. 2, share and learn prep and intel. And 3, we have a private military group, which you will be vetted for. If you try to pretend to be Stolen Valor, you'll not only be kicked out of the military group, but you'll be kicked out of Discord, period. We do not tolerate Stolen Valor. Don't even try to pretend. It's not a funny joke. We respect our uniformed officers of any kind. So just don't do it. Because there's a million reasons to prepare, and they might not all be the world ending. But like I said, just recently we had a tornado near Seattle. Nobody was expecting it. It ripped off roofs. It was insane. And I guarantee you, not one of those people was ready for a tornado in Seattle. Never happened before. So, with that being said, I think you have more than enough reasons to join us on Discord. And there's tons of chat. Just go to marfoogle.chat.com. and invites are sent every day or two.